Great, thank you, Eric. Hello, everyone. Thank you and welcome to the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs Forum that's held on first Tuesday of the month. And we convene at 3 to 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. This month, topics will, or the agenda will be about first hour from 3 to 4, a small business certification and government contracting opportunities that will be presented by the Small Business Administration and the Minnesota Department of Administration. And then from 4 to 4:30, we'll have an update on unemployment since it's ended the first week of September, and other information regarding the grant opportunities recently opened up by Deed. And also with the unemployment ending, career force teams are ready to coach and prepare job seekers within the immigrant and refugee communities and connect them with employers. And our Deputy Director of Career Force is here with us. And Sean is presenting from the Small Business Administration. Christina, Aaron, thank you so much also from presenting from Minnesota Department of Administration. I just ask that everyone who is attending, please mute yourself, and that way so we can hear our speakers. And if you have any questions, either raise your hand or you could put the question in the chat box. We usually share a blog after the forum, either on Thursday or following Monday. And certainly anybody interested in the slides will be happy to email it. And again, thank you so much, Sean, Christina, and Aaron. I hand it off to you. Go ahead, please.
Wonderful, great, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Anderson. I'm with the Department of Administration, the Office of Equity and Procurement. And so I think the plan today is I'm going to start and talk, give a really brief overview of the state contracting, procurement, and then talk about the small business certification program that we do in my office. And then I'll turn it over to Sean with the SBA to talk about Fed, and then Christina to talk about PTAC and some of the services that they offer to help you with the information that you get from Sean and I. So with that, I am going to, if you just allow me a minute, I am going to share a PowerPoint so I can walk through a few slides with you. Okay, is that coming through? Perfect. Okay, so again, my name is Aaron Anderson with the Office of Equity and Procurement, and so my team administers the Small Business Procurement Program, and so that is the certification program that's available, and so I'll talk about that. But first, I just want to give you a quick overview of the state procurement for those that are new to it. So this is our selling to the state. So the first quick slide that I just we like to open with this slide, especially for people that may not be used to doing government purchases. They may be more used to the private sector or, commercial market. And so I like to share this, and, the first two points are pretty obvious, but they are meaningful. In the private sector, buyers essentially can do, whatever is not prohibited by law. On the public sector side, they can only do what is authorized by law. And so I think the good part of that is there's a pretty clear playbook for how to participate in procurement, and pretty transparent guidelines in terms of who's going to be awarded and things like that. And so I think it's really a positive in a lot of ways. Just another quick note, they do take conflicts of interest or even potential or what could be perceived as conflicts of interest very serious. And so for that reason, buyers, particularly if a procurement is out to bid are, probably not going to want to interact with potential people that are responding to that. And they will also not like accept gifts, even like small gifts on the holiday or calendars. They just don't do it for for appearances. So just to give you a sense of what does the state procurement market look like, approximately $2.5 billion annually gets spent by the state, and the state has their procurement group organized so that there's a goods and general services group that we call acquisitions with construction, and then there's professional technical, and so that would be like the information technology work, any kind of consultation, or that kind of office work, I guess, essentially. And so for the state, the professional and technical contracting is decentralized, meaning that the individual agencies run and do their own purchasing for those items. For goods, general services, and construction, they goes through admin. So admin will do the purchasing in those areas for all agencies. And all competitive solicitations get posted if they're over 5,000. Just to give you a quick sense of the type of things that the state buys on an annual basis, no real supply or surprises here. But you see highways and bridges are really big. And then, things related to professional technical. So IT and professional technical services and non-IT are all very big items. So now I'm going to shift in and talk about a little bit what my team, the Office of Equity and Procurement, is focused on, and that's diversity and inclusion in procurement. That's why my team exists. And so, this slide is just speaking to the commitment that the state has and some of the things that we tout about the program and how diversity, inclusion, and procurement is good for everyone. So it brings more suppliers to the table, suppliers with different, maybe different backgrounds or viewpoints, which is always helpful. It encourages more competition. Obviously for government procurement, we need to get the best value for the money that we're spending, and so we believe that helps, and it creates stronger relationship and engagements, among communities that the state serves state agencies. So that's important. And then probably the most important is the last bullet, which is it helps economic development and reduce economic disparities. Probably most people are on a call are familiar with some of the economic disparities that we have in the state. And so, specifically through government procurement, this is one way that we're trying to address that. And then we do, for anyone that does purchasing with the state, they are required to take diversity inclusion training, so we can talk to them about why it's important and the tools that they have available to make that diversity inclusion better. So my office, so we do a lot of assistance one-on-one with small businesses. We'll help them register as a bidder or supplier so that they can work on or bid for work with the state, show them how to do the certification program that I'll talk about in a minute. And then also help connect them with the relevant, potentially agency or buyer for whatever the goods or services that they offer, and help find opportunities. And so in addition to that, we'll provide guidance on just how the small business procurement program works. We help them. So we're kind of a matchmakers on both ends. So, just as the vendor will help try to direct them to the key people within agencies that they need to connect with to be able to sell their products. We also do for the other way. So we're directing agencies to potential certified businesses that might be able to meet their needs, and then just again, kind of advocating for the small businesses. So just really quickly, I know this is a lot of numbers, and for outside people, you're not going to have a lot of background or context on this, but just two slides I wanted to show you really quick so you you could get a sense of the progress that we've made in the last 5 years. And so this table is a breakdown of what we call the targeted groups and the different categories that you can get certified as a small business, and then the total dollar amount of procurements. And so in 2015 was the first year that we started measuring this. We were at 65 million, which is, decent. It's not a small number, but just within the span of those 4 or 5 years, as of fiscal 19, we're over 100 million. So, and then in fiscal 20, I just didn't have time to update this slide, but it was over 120 million. So the program is really expanding, and there's a lot of opportunities, and you can tell that the agencies are really embracing it and using it. And so that's really encouraging, I think, for everyone involved. Okay, certification. So I'm going to give you first an idea of the qualifications. So if it makes sense or you would be eligible to be certified in the program. And so the first is that you have to be based in Minnesota. So you should be registered with the Secretary of State as Minnesota as your small business or your home state. And you should like the majority of the work and operation should be located within the state. You have to be for profit. We don't, through this particular program, we don't certify nonprofits. You have to be within the financial size standards. And so that is the same size standards that Sean uses with the SBA. So the SBA, the federal government, creates by industry code what is the size standard. And if you're under that, you qualify. And then the company has to be majority owned by the eligible person. And then that qualified owner should be a citizen or lawfully admitted permanent residents of the United States. So those are the qualifications to be in the program. And then for the different, I guess, terminology that we use, we call targeted group businesses, businesses that are minorities, women, or people with substantial physical disabilities. And so that's what we call the targeted groups. And then there's also economically disadvantaged. And so that is for small businesses which are located in designated counties, and they're designated as either being a labor surplus area, low medium income, or rehab center. And so on the next slide, I will show you the counties that have one of those designations. And so as a business owner, if your business is located in one of these counties or your residence is one of these counties, you would be able to apply as an economically disadvantaged business. And this is, so I don't know if you can tell, but the shaded ones would be the ones on the Minnesota map, the counties that would be designated. We also have a veteran-owned program. So if you're a veteran and you meet a lot of the same standards that we talked about early, you would qualify as a veteran-owned business. So now the important part. So why should you want to do it? The benefits of it, well, it's free. Well, that's great. At least you don't have to pay for it. The second one is the big one. So small businesses receive a preference when submitting bids or proposals for 6%. And so if you're certified and you're doing a bid in a state procurement, they will, essentially add 6% to your overall score, when they're evaluating the proposal. So you'll get that benefit opposed to businesses that aren't certified that won't. And so that'll apply up to the first $2 million of the contract. The certification is widely recognized by other government entities, so Met Council, MAC, some other places, particularly if they use state money. They're going to be looking for TGE, DVO vendors. That's the abbreviation we use for targeted group, economically disadvantaged, and veteran. And then also some major corporations, even within the state of Minnesota, will also recognize these programs for small business certification. Equity Select, this is the other really big one. So if you're certified, an agency can award a contract to a business between $5,000 and $25,000 without putting it, posting it for bid. or without getting multiple quotes. They can just award it to a certified business. So that's a really, really nice big benefit. If you're on an award contract, you'll be designated. So they'll call out that you're a certified vendor, which can get you some more, some more clicks or some more interest from a marketing perspective. We also have goals set on construction projects. And so if we award a construction project to a large company and it's a big project, the state is going to say, we want you to subcontract at least X percent with small businesses that are certified. So that's our way for even projects that are really large to be able to, still get that participation from small business. And so that's a really really critical thing for business to be able to succeed. Goals, you can be any one of the designations to receive credit for those goals. And last thing, we do have a shelter market program for construction. So if we have smaller projects and we have a minimum of at least 3 certified vendors that say they're interested to bid as a prime, we'll essentially set that procurement aside, and we will only allow certified vendors to bid on it. So again, we're restricting that competition to make sure we get some utilization from our companies. And then you also get this nice certification logo, again, for branding. It's kind of nice to be able to have that for your capability statement or your website or however you want to use it. And then you'll be designated in the state supplier portal and in our directory as well. And here is some contact information. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that, but I can send this on to be forwarded out to attendees if we have the ability to do that. So I know that I went through that pretty quick. I hope I don't go too fast. I'm not sure if you want to stop for questions at any point, or I can turn it over to Sean.
Thank you so much. We'll share these slides later on. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sean, I pass it to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here. We'll get this up and running. And while I'm pulling this up, just as a little background, we do a lot of these workshops on a fairly regular basis, and they can be pretty, they can go pretty deep into the subject. So I think what we've done today is we've sort of skimmed off the top to kind of pike your interest a little bit and see if this is something that is of interest to you or the people that you work with. And we have some additional resources that Christina Niebel-Dickerson from the PTAC is going to talk about as far as follow-up workshops and classes. There's a lot of things happening on that front. So hopefully we can find something that's a good fit. Can everybody see my screen all right there?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Just move everyone out of the way here so I can see it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about federal certifications, kind of an overview of our federal programs. And a lot of this is going to build on what Erin was talking about at the state level. You'll find a lot of similarities, and even at the local government level, you'll see some similarities as well. I'm Sean Mcclary. I'm a business opportunity specialist with the Minnesota District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration. So we're a federal agency, if you're not familiar with us. Most people probably know about us recently for our assistance programs, our financial assistance through the pandemic, our paycheck protection programs, and the EIDL loans and whatnot. We also have regular SBA loans that we've been doing for years that are a great tool for small business. We provide counseling and training through a couple of partners, SCORE and the Small Business Development Centers. And we get into government contracting through the programs I'll talk about today. And of course, I talked a little bit about disaster assistance. Our websites are pretty useful. SBA.gov is our national website where you can find quite a bit of information on just about any topic. And if you're looking for the local information, you can go to the /MN page where you'll find a directory and our resource guide, which can be very helpful for you. The one thing you'll notice in government contracting is we have a lot of acronyms. You saw a few with Aaron there, and you're going to hear a few more with me. I'll do my best to say the complete title along with the acronym. The reason I put this up here is it's important as you go down the road in government contracting. If you hear an acronym and you're not 100% sure what it is, always ask. Sometimes agencies have the same acronyms for things that mean something completely different. So Aaron talked a little bit about goals at the state level. We also have those at the federal level, and that's where these programs come into play. Whenever the government is looking to purchase something, in right now we're looking at about $500 billion worth of spending a year. We have these goals established that direct 23% should be set aside for small business, 5% for small disadvantage, 5% for women-owned small business, and 3% for Hubzone and service disabled veteran-owned small business. The numbers in parentheses are the numbers that we accomplished in 2020. So what does that mean? Basically, just like what Aaron was talking about with setting aside a contract at the state level, we can do that at the federal level. And that is very simply stated as limiting competition to just that designated group. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry about that. So when we set aside a contract, that just means a contracting officer, for example, could reserve it for women-owned small businesses for bidding. And they can do that if they know that there are enough certified firms that want to put in a bid on that contract. So that is what a set aside is. At the federal level, we have a couple of different types of certifications. We have a full certification through SBA, which would be your 8A business development, your Hubzone program, and the women-owned small business program for set-asides. You see in these other spots, it says representation, and that's because when you register as a vendor to sell to the federal government, if you haven't gone through the full certification, you can still self-represent your business, and that helps to meet contracting goals and whatnot. So it's still a useful process. There's been some questions about NAICS codes. I think there were some people that were having questions about where to find them and how they relate to this federal contracting. So I'll just start off by saying a NAICS code is just a classification system for your industry, whatever industry you're in. An easy place to find your NAICS code, if you're not aware of it, is the U.S. Census Bureau page that I linked on this slide. So you can take a look there, and search by keyword is probably the best way. You might see a few different options. Take a look at all of them and see which one is the best fit. For the size standards, SBA bases our size standards individually on these NAICS codes. So we'll do our economic research and figure out what makes sense for each of the size standards, and we update that on a regular basis, depending on the economic data. But for manufacturing and wholesaling, we're going to base your size standard on number of employees, and that's 1 year average. It's moving to 2 year average. And then for service industries, and this would include everything from construction to IT services typically and more. For that, we use a 5 year average of your revenues. And when you register, as I talked about earlier, where you're going to register as a vendor, you do that at sam.gov. During that process, you'll enter in your revenues and your employees and your NAICS codes, and then it will tell you whether or not you qualify as small under that size standard. All of these regulations can be found at 13 CFR 121. CFR is a code of federal regulations, and that's where you're going to find all the information on the SBA's contracting programs. Typically, CFR, Code of Federal Regulations 121 through 127 is sort of the area where we have these. I've linked those regulations on these slides, so when you get a chance, you can always go take a look. They're pretty accessible and not terribly overwhelming for a regulation. This is just a sample of what the size standards look like. I compiled a few different items just to give you a good look at what's what in the different industries. For commercial and in institutional building and construction, it's a 5-year average of your revenues, and it's a $39.5 million size standard. So if you take your revenues and add them up over 5 years, divided by 5, that number you get should be below that $39.5 million. And then for example, a employee-based, if you look at sawmills, the number of employees you can have is up to 500 and still be considered small. Sometimes these size standards seem a little bit larger than we were expecting. But take a look at those, and if you need assistance with that, that's something we can help you with as well. So for the federal contracting programs, I'm going to talk very briefly about these just to keep us on time. I started off here with the 8A Business Development Program. This is a little bit different than a contracting program in that you are essentially getting certified as a small disadvantaged business, but then this program is an up to 9-year business development program. So it's very different than our other programs. And so it has some special requirements and whatnot. We have our Hubzone program, which is place-based, and these are typically areas that are high unemployment or low income. And we have it linked here, the Hubzone Map you can take a look at your convenience. It's a very simple to search map. You can enter in addresses or just view an area, zoom in. It's a lot like a Google map. Then the other certifications are women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business. That's WOSB and EDWOSB. And then for veterans, it's a little bit different. We have the service-disabled veteran-owned small business and veteran-owned small business. These are both self-representations, unless you're doing business with the Department of Veterans Affairs. They have a different program where you can get verified as a veteran. And this is a program that is also recognized by the state of Minnesota. So it's a little bit different. We also have a mentor protege program. So if you're a small business, you can participate in the mentor protege program where you can work with a mentor company, usually a large company that is providing some sort of business development assistance to you. And there's some good opportunities there. The place that I would start, were I looking at doing business with the government and considering these contracting programs, is certify.sba.gov. At this site, you can go through a question and answer that will lead you down a path of questions, providing some information as you go. And at the end of it, you should have a good idea of what programs you are likely to qualify for. And that takes a look at the 8A, the WOSB. WOSB is Women-Owned Small Business, and Hubzone, which is historically underutilized business zone. Once it gives you those results, it also gives you some information about how to pursue those certifications. So hopefully that is a helpful spot for you. You can also find the Hubzone Map through this program and a lot of other assistance. Some common elements, you'll see some of these are similar to what Aaron talked about with the state programs. Some are a little bit different. The big one is always going to be that 51% ownership and control of the particular person for the program that you're applying for. So if it's a woman-owned small business program, then you're looking at 51% ownership and control by one or more women. And there's some tests that go along with this. Typically, the person owning and controlling the business should be the president or CEO. They have the ability to commit to contracts. They're typically the highest paid, all of that. And this can be made up of a combination of people. If you have 3 or 4 owners of business, as long as that 51% threshold is met, that's a qualifying action. One of the differences on the federal programs is the U.S. citizen, and that is born or naturalized. So there's no permanent resident allowance yet in that program. So this is where the two together could be worthwhile. You should be a small business. Again, no nonprofits. To participate in these programs, you have to be for profit. For the economic disadvantage program, you have these like small disadvantaged business or 8A or economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. You should have a net worth of less than 750,000, total assets less than 6 million, and a personal income of less than $350,000 a year. And there's some adjustments to those that you'll learn about probably later. Under the small disadvantage program, there is a social disadvantage component. And this basically relates to people who have been subjected to some type of prejudice or discrimination in the United States. And typically, the federal government has that defined at 13 CFR 124.103, again, Code of Federal Regulations. So we have presumed groups and non-designated groups. So there's, if you're looking to qualify for one of these programs, SDB or 8A, then this slide would apply to your situation. The common benefits, kind of like what Aaron was saying here, there's quite a few things. It's free to start off with. You can get some assistance with going through these programs to get your certifications. The first benefit is that you're listed in the dynamic small business search. This is basically a database of federal vendors. So your business information, contact information, your industry codes, your NAICS codes that you work under will be there, along with if you take the time to put the program or the registration together right, you can put a capability statement in there as well. And that DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Search, is used by large prime contractors, government contracting offices, even some local and state government contracting offices will look there if they're maybe having trouble finding a vendor. So it's free advertising, and it's a nice side effect or side benefit of being in these programs. You're eligible for set-aside contracts. So if you register as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business, you can go after service-disabled veteran-owned small business set-asides. So that's a big deal. There is a potential for sole source contracts, which just means a government can, after finding out that you're capable of performing on a contract, they can reach out to you and do a direct award and negotiate the terms directly, so you're not going through the bidding process. It's fairly rare for other certifications, depending on the situation, but in the 8A program, it's something that is sort of the standard up until a certain dollar limit, and that's part of that 8A business development program. It's really designed to help build companies' capabilities and capacities to really become competitive in the federal marketplace. There's subcontracting opportunities, much like what Aaron was saying. If a large prime contractor, and this is somebody who has a contract over over $700,000 with the federal government, if they, and they're a large business, if they have that contract, they also have a small business plan where SBA tells them, we want you to put aside this much of your subcontracting to this group and this group and this group. And then, like I said, you have access to that mentor protege program. So I'm going to kind of leave a lot of the information still out there because this is a small format, but there's some real basics to selling to the federal government, and we have a lot of resources that I think Christina is going to talk about when I'm done. But with selling to the federal government, you've got some basic steps. It's getting registered in SAM, identifying your NAICS codes and your size standards, kind of figure out where you fit in there. You have to create a login.gov account in order to access SAM. And then you have some additional steps. The big key here at the bottom of this slide, get free help with this process. There are a ton of organizations. My very favorite and the best is PTAC under the Department of Administration. And Christina is going to talk about what they do. I work with Christina and the PTAC pretty closely, and with Aaron over at OEP. We're all kind of part of the same community. And we do some trainings on a regular basis. I'll leave that to Christina to talk about, though, because I think she'd like to do that. On this page, I have some links basically to find some assistance. I've got the PTAC websites. I've got some SBA websites on federal contracting, our learning center, and local assistance. Then our mentors, SCORE mentors, and small business development centers. They can help with all sorts of things from starting up your business to building a business plan, to helping you apply for a business loan, all that sort of stuff. So they can be very helpful, folks. Sign up for a newsletter, and then you'll get some updates, and you'll be in the loop on all the things we have going on. Again, here's my contact information. Emails are always best for reaching out to me. And I'm going to pass this over to Christina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean.
Hey, you'll talk about the upcoming workshops and everything next week, right?
I'm going to try and be all over it.
Excellent. I want to talk about it, but I know it's your world.
All right. Let's see what we've got going. All right. Am I up there?
Yes.
All right. All right, there we go. Okay, so as Sean and Aaron were talking so much about great information and lots of opportunities for you, I'm going to try and pull it all together and let you know how PTAC can help you. And as they mentioned, I am Christina Niebel-Dickerson, and I am the program director for the PTAC program with the Department of Administration at the state. And so PTAC is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and the PTAP, the program, PTAC Procurement Technical Assistant Program, was put into place a little over 30 years ago by Congress in order for small businesses to get a little piece of what's going on in the government contracting world. And before that, mainly it was large prime contractors that were able to do government contracting. And obviously our country was built on entrepreneurialism, and how can the small guys get a piece of that? And how can small businesses learn and know where the projects are and understand what opportunities are out there, where to register, what certifications are out there. So PTACs were put into place in every state in our country. Some states have multiple programs. In Minnesota, we have one. But so the program is funded through the Department of Defense and the Defense Logistics Agency. And then we have cooperative agreements either through nonprofit organizations or through colleges and universities or through state agencies, which is the case here in Minnesota. We are a statewide program in Minnesota, which means there's just one program, but we have offices throughout the state. And then we are state employees, and then the funding comes through the Defense Logistics Agency. So the offices are, as I mentioned, statewide. And our focus really is to help any Minnesota business that is interested in doing local, state, or federal government contracting. And we want to make sure that you understand that there are opportunities out there for you to be successful and to develop those capabilities, to understand strategic marketing, research, and understanding contracts so that you can identify and compete and be successful. And we want to be there to help you do that. This is where all of those offices are. We have Arlette way up in northern Minnesota. Tracy is in central. And by way up, I mean north of Bemidji. Tracy is in the Camp Ripley area. Pat is down by Mankato. And then in the metro area, you met Aaron. So this is kind of the OEP and the PTAC group mushed together because we all work cooperatively to help the small businesses in this effort. So Aaron, Mashia, Tammy, and Tawana are on the OEP team. And then Bob and Mark are right in the admin building when we're working in the office. John is in the South Metro, and that's it. All right, so that is us. So the services that we provide, the three main things that we offer are one-on-one counseling, a bid match service, and then training. But when you break down the one-on-one counseling services, we really help you with the registration and certification, which is all of what Sean and Aaron were talking extensively about. And we want to make sure that you understand that. And like Sean was saying, This really is a very high level of what we go into, in depth in training, in depth in one-on-one meetings, in phone calls, emails, Teams meetings. So really, if you want to know more about this, or if you want to get involved in any of our programs, please reach out or get the slide decks or however we can help you. But those services that we go further into to assist with your efforts in contracting, even though we are a state program and state employees, we do help with the federal contracting and the local contracting as well. So all of the above, with the registrations and certifications, and then all of those trainings. And I'll go through a little bit of those of what's coming up as well. The market opportunity assessment, helping you determine if federal contracting is right for you. Maybe you start local. Maybe you're starting with the school districts or a county level opportunity. Looking at bid match, which I'll go into in just a minute what that is. Helping you understand some of the pre-bid and post-award guidance. What does that mean? If there's a pre-bid meeting, should I go to it? Do I meet my competition there? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The post-award, what all is involved in that? What am I responsible for? Identifying if you should be a prime or a sub. If you're a prime, can you sub out any of those opportunities? How do you know that? There's things called limitations on subcontracting. What are your responsibilities as a prime contractor? Maybe you should position yourself as a subcontractor or a second or a third or a fourth tier subcontractor to get your foot in the door. And we can help you understand what that looks like. Researching procurement histories means we can help you see if your product has been sold to the government before, maybe what those prices look like. We can research part numbers, national stock numbers, review proposals with you. You come to us with a solicitation. We can walk through those documents with you and help you understand the language, because government contract language is a little different. Cybersecurity, I'm not sure who mentioned it. Maybe both of Sean and Aaron brought it up. But that is a very, very big topic that is not going away. And just about every contract is going to include something about that. And we want to help you make sure that you are in line with that and that you are following everything that is expected of you for that. And then if there's any follow-up payment issues or assistance, or how do I submit an invoice, we can help you with all of those things. So how do I get started? So you want to get started by going to the website and signing up. And then I would assign one of the counselors to you based on the type of industry that you're in and geographically where you're located, because that is kind of how you're assigned based on the counselor's experience and expertise. And then they're going to do a little business assessment with you, help you make a plan and set some goals. This is that website. This is, I don't know if you can see my arrow, but requesting services, and then the events and training is down in the right corner. But there's also a resources tab that is full of a lot of great resources outside of us. This is what that page looks like. You're going to go steps 1 through 6 to get signed up. A couple of the pages you can skip if you're a brand new business or an individual and you're just getting started, or it can be, there's a few tabs that are going to be required. Very simple. It will just take a couple of minutes to get set up. So as a client, what can you expect from us? You're going to get that email notification from me and who is going to be assigned to you as your counselor. You're going to be assigned to that knowledgeable and experienced counselor, and you're going to have those one-on-one sessions. As I mentioned, we like to have them in person, but right now that's not happening. So they are via Teams meetings or phone, email, that kind of thing. They will give you a personalized assessment of your business. Hopefully you'll come armed with everything that you've built so far, and maybe what the steps you've done so far, if you've done any contracting, if you've done private contracting, or if you've done any government contracting, the steps that you've taken or any of the missteps that you've taken, and we can help sort some of those things out. If you're not registered with the Secretary of State, or if you have moved and you haven't updated your Dun & Bradstreet information, things like that. Going through a growth plan and talking about what kind of training would maybe be best for you. So the bid match service that I alluded to, this is probably one of the best services that people come to us for, because it saves a ton of time. So when you work with your counselor, they're going to put a profile together based on keywords, the codes that best fit your business, and then geographically what you're capable of servicing. If it's just Minnesota or the 5-state area or nationwide. And then we search several thousand websites nationwide looking for bids that match your criteria. And then you get an email, could be every day, a couple times a week. And then you get to choose which ones you might want to respond to. If you're not sure how to respond to them or even how to read them, that's what our counselors are here for. And we're going to go through how to respond to them and what it looks like. They are web-based and all of our services are free. So what you're going to come away with and what we hope you'll understand with the services that we do provide is what it looks like to be competitive in the government contracting arena, what the different contract types are, the methodologies, different types of bidding and bid documents, what's expected from you and the requirements, the qualifications for being a contractor and for submitting bids and for responding to them, and being a prime contractor, being a subcontractor, being certified, and how to find those opportunities, how to market successfully, how to submit something, your proposal responses, and what evaluation criteria might look like. So different agencies have different criteria. It might be based on low cost. It might be based on best proposal. It might be based on, who the CEO is, who knows? I mean, it really is based on the agency and what it is that they're looking for in the project. If it's a commodity, if it's a service. So we can walk through what those expectations are, the statement of work, all of that. Also, you'll have that kind of person in your pocket that you can call or video conference and ask questions of if you're working on a project and it's due, next week. Oh, I don't understand what this means, or all of a sudden they threw in this loop and this extra thing is due. Do I have to respond to that? It wasn't in the original bid. Obviously, all of our free trainings and the educational support. We have lots of opportunity fairs. I think Sean mentioned our SADBOC group. So we do the April SADBOC, the Small and Disadvantaged Business Opportunity Council Government Procurement Fair. And then in the fall, we do the Greater Minnesota Fair. It's later on in October. And then again, because I say it like 12 times, that all of our services are free. So with that, again, hopefully you'll visit our website to look for training opportunities and to get registered if you're not already. You'll want to get registered in SWIFT and SAM, which again, SWIFT is for the state that Aaron talked about. SAM is for the feds, which Sean talked about. Talk about appropriate certifications if you're a woman, minority, veteran, place-based, severely disabled. Place-based is the Hubzone, or the economically disadvantaged are the two place-based ones. And then attend training sessions, address your cybersecurity issues, and begin your plan. So here is the list of some of the upcoming trainings. So these are the ongoing ones, but we have lots more. We do about 100 to 125 trainings every year. We have something every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and then some. So every month we do a first Tuesday of the month, which is this. So at 1 o'clock today, we did our PTAC orientation. And then every other month we do state-based workshops. And then on the alternate months, we do federal ones. So this month, starting next Tuesday, is the Exploring Federal Contracting, the Basics. And then 2 weeks later on the 28th is the Federal Contracting, a Deeper Dive. Those are kind of paired together. And then the Understanding State and the TGED VO, which are the two things that Aaron was talking about. Those go together and those will be the following month. We do a tri-state webinar series with Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota with the SBA offices and the PTAC offices. And that is also on the first Tuesday of every month. But because of Labor Day, they didn't do it this morning. They'll do it next Tuesday. And that one next week is on doing business with those states. So the states of Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. We do federal certifications, a class on SAM, DBE, program overview. Our Foundations in Government Contracting series is a very in-depth six course series that the counselors have to vet you to be approved to enter into. And then when you complete the series, you are given a certificate that is signed by the Federal Executive Board and the instructors and the chairperson of SADBOC, which happens to be Sean. It's quite an honor and quite a kudos to you to put the time in, which means you're really looking at your business and thinking forward to doing a class like that. It does take some time and effort, but so those are some of our classes. These business resources are similar to the ones that Sean put on his page. Obviously, deeds up at the top there, SBDCs, SBA, and SCORE. The contact information for all those team members that I shared with a little earlier, and my contact information. And that is that.
Thank you so much, Christina, Sean, and Aaron. Anybody who has questions, please either use the hand raise function or use the chat box. But somebody who could not attend, just email me and asked a couple questions. And they said, how do they change if they had already selected the wrong NSA code? And, you know, to say more about the Hubzone.
Sure. Do you want me to start with Hubzone, Christina, and then you want to talk about the changing NAICS codes, or Aaron?
Sure.
Okay, so Hubzones, and also real quickly, while Christina was talking, I put the PTAC website in the chat and the website for the trainings, so you can go right there and take a look too if you don't want to wait. So for Hubzones, Hubzone is a historically underutilized business zone. So they are broken up, or they're typically a few different types. There are counties, sometimes whole counties that qualify. In metropolitan areas, they tend to be by census tract. And basically what it is an area with high unemployment and low income, typically a combination of those two. And it's a measure that's looked at on a fairly regular basis, although the areas now only change every 5 years. When you are in this program, the qualifications are a little bit different. So first, your primary place of business should be in a hub zone, and then 33% of your employees should come from a hub zone. It doesn't have to be the same hub zone. Maybe they live in a county next door that's a hub zone. There's different ways of meeting that requirement. One of the benefits of Hubzone that's a little bit different than the others is that if you are in a full and open competition where large businesses, everybody can bid, kind of the whole works, if the apparent successful winning bid is from a large business, you can get a 10% price preference to your Hubzone small business bid, which can make a pretty big difference if you're able to compete on that level. So it's one of our full certifications. You get recertified every year. This is a certification that PTAC can help you with. They do a great job in walking folks through that. The website, I'll put the link to the Hubzone map in the chat also. And it's pretty easy. It's a pretty straightforward map. And it's color coded. Actually, what I could do, I could share the map on screen if you'd like to take a look real quickly. That'd be helpful.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've zoomed into Minnesota here, and you can see the red areas, and it's adjusting here because I zoomed out a little bit. The red areas are designated counties. So if a county meets the requirements, the whole county might be designated a hub zone. The other colors are kind of that dark greenish blue is for census tracts. I'm going to zoom into the metropolitan area here. And then I'll show you a couple of different things here. The light blue color is Indian land. So typically anywhere around a federally recognized Indian reservation is going to qualify as hub zone. And then if we zoom way into the city here, you can see how it's broken up into census tracts. And pardon my slow internet connection here. And there's certain areas you can see these different hash marks are going to tell you if an area has been redesignated. So for example, this location here, and you can click on each one of these areas, is going to expire June 30th of 2023. So it no longer qualifies, no longer meets those high unemployment, low income requirements. So then it's kind of grandfathered in for a little while. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you so much.
I want to make a point about those areas in the metro, though, that a lot of times your business, I mean, Sean included this in his description of the hub zone, but again, a reminder that the business may be on that address, but your 35% of your employees need to live in it. So if your employees are living in Hopkins or Minnetonka or Eden Prairie, but your business is on Lake Street or something, then you're not going to qualify.
It can be a little bit tricky, I think, when you're in a metropolitan area to meet those requirements. But this program is really designed to increase those employment opportunities in areas that have been distressed. So hopefully it's something that, as a business owner, if you're thinking about opening up a main office or something like that, take a look at this map and get an idea of where it might be a good investment for you, where you might be able to benefit from a hub zone or some other program that could benefit the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Sean, could you share the link for the map? Thank you. Or did you
yes,
already?
Oh yeah, there it is. I got to hit enter. There, now it's in the chat.
Thank you so much.
And then I'll answer quickly about NAICS codes, the North American Industrial Classification System. So to change that, it all depends on where it is that they entered it, where they feel that it was entered incorrectly. But so one of the main places that people feel they entered it incorrectly would be the SAM database, or the System for Award Management. And that can be easily corrected by going back in and just updating it. But you don't have to have just one. So if your business does multiple things, you know, you're in advertising, marketing, screen printing, you know, things like that, you can have multiple NAICS codes and enter those appropriately in there. But you can go in and remove whatever is incorrect and update it there. If it's a state thing, there's different codes at the state, and I'll let Aaron speak to that and how they match up the state codes and the NAICS codes and where to update codes for the state.
Yeah, so I guess there's two places that you would list what kind of industry your business works in. And so the first place would be the Swift Supplier Portal, which is the equivalent of the SAM for the federal level. The Swift Supplier Portal is for the state. They use a slightly different classification system for industries. It's called UNSP, the United Nations Special Product Codes. You can, just like SAM, you can go in the system and you can change them, add them, do whatever you want on your own. And then if it's attached to a certification, you can change or modify those as well. Just in that instance, you would want to work with whatever specialist you are assigned to, and they'll change it for you. They just, if it's tied to a certification, they may ask for, you know, some information just to show that you have the capacity for that kind of work, and then they'll add it to your profile.
Great, thank you so much. I don't see any questions in the chat box. I really appreciate the time that you took to present all this resourceful information. And if it's okay, people that are going to be reaching out, I can refer you to them in that way. If they want to attend Tuesday's meetings and trainings or sign up, you know, we'll share the links as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anissa. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Sean, thank you. Aaron, like as well. We're on 404. Next presenters are Maureen, Ramirez, and Mike Lang from the Career Force office, and also the Office of Economic Opportunities. Maureen, you'll be talking about the ending of unemployment and other information on small business grants. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Anissa. Hey, Mike. Hi, Anissa. I'll go first. I will share a little bit about unemployment insurance. And then I can mention our small business relief grants. Yes. I'm going to share my screen so we can look at the unemployment insurance benefits website, because I think we can just walk through it a little bit. The reason we're talking about unemployment insurance right now is because there have been changes. There has been an end to 3 of the programs that have been in place, that really some version of them have been in place since the beginning, almost the very beginning of the pandemic. So from Saturday, September 4th, was the expiration of 3 different programs. If folks were receiving those programs and qualified for unemployment insurance through those programs, they have been notified, and they will come to learn that their benefits have come to an end. But we just want to share some of that information with you. So I'll back up for just a quick minute that, unemployment insurance is available for people who have lost their job, can't go to work through no fault of their own. And if that happens to you, and that certainly happened to a lot of people when their business is shut down or their place of work, hasn't survived the pandemic. So there are more people out of work than what Minnesota had, of course, before the pandemic. And those folks may be eligible to apply to our agency, to DEED, for the Minnesota Unemployment Insurance Program. And the website is uimn.org. And when you type that in, then the site wants to know if you're a person who's applying, an applicant for unemployment insurance, or are you the business? Are you the employer or the agent? And you maybe need to verify some things for your account. So you may be working mostly with applicants, and then so you'll click on that side. But you'll also see some availability in other languages. I can only speak for the Spanish translations. That's the only one I can understand, but these were done professionally, so that it's not a Google Translate site for Spanish and Hmong and Somali. So there is some there's good and basic information about unemployment insurance in those languages. The other languages tab does bring you to using the Google Translate to change the site. So if you're a person applying for benefits or a person who has been receiving benefits, you click on applicants, and then we're going to go up here and click on the affected by COVID-19 and unemployment benefits. I think that is going to tell us about these federal programs that are ending. What had happened is that the federal government had expanded who was eligible for unemployment insurance. So they said more people than used to be true could qualify and be eligible to receive benefits. And they did that especially through expanding for self-employed and independent contractors. So they made more people eligible for unemployment insurance. They made more people eligible for longer. You could stay on unemployment insurance benefits and qualify for a longer period of time, 13 extra weeks. And they were sending extra money to people. Most recently, it's been an extra $300 on top of what your regular state benefit would be. So more people eligible, longer amount of time, and more money available for each week in your benefit check. But those 3 things are the 3 things coming to an end. So we're going to be back at an unemployment insurance benefits program that looks like it did before the pandemic. So the changes in the pandemic that helped more people qualify, those just came to an end. That's because Congress, the federal Congress, had passed these expansions. There's 3 programs that they're called. It doesn't matter so much what they're called, it's just kind of what they were doing. And they just only put them in place for a certain amount of time. So the expiration of all of those benefits was September 4th. And that means, what that really means is that right around 200,000 people or so in Minnesota have been collecting weekly unemployment benefits right now, and we anticipate that about half of those folks were probably qualified under one of these programs that was just coming to an end. And so it just means a big drop off of people who qualify for unemployment insurance. So some people will not receive benefits at all because the program they qualified under is no longer available. Some people will still qualify for unemployment insurance, but not with that additional $300. So they're just going to see a smaller paycheck. So about half the people there, probably about 100,000 people, won't be getting any more benefits. Other folks who still stay qualified, there could be about 100,000 people like that, but would be receiving less money. So we think this is all going to, certainly change the real economic circumstances for these people and these families. And so we are stepping up our connections for job seekers and for these folks. We've been communicating to say that the programs are coming to an end, but then also communicating to say what our services are to help those people. And I'm going to let Mike talk about what Career Force is doing and services to those people. So I'm just going to jump for a minute before Mike does that to briefly share an update on the small business relief grants, which I believe I have right here. So this is good news, and this is for you if you are, forgive my scrolling, if you are a small business owner. This will start September 20th. These are grants between $10,000 and $25,000. If you are a small business, that's a business with fewer than 200 employees. And this is similar to the program that we ran last summer, where it's really like a lottery program. So you fill out a short application that says, yes, my business lost revenue because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here are some short documents that show you who my business is, that I'm located in Minnesota and that I live in Minnesota, that I'm a resident of Minnesota. It is not about your citizenship, and you do not have to show a citizenship status or anything like that, but just that you reside here, that you live in Minnesota. You can't be a Wisconsin resident, or you can't have a business in Wisconsin. You have to be Minnesota business, Minnesota resident. But these applications will open on September 20th. So you can read about the eligibility. You can, the application is not quite ready yet, but there's a short sample of what the questions are. And then what we are providing right now is some translations on a one-page flyer. So we have Hmong, Somali, Spanish, and English, and Vietnamese. And then we have a short video here that's also been translated Hmong, Somali, and Spanish. We're working on a recording of that in Vietnamese. And so these are for anyone to share. Share these with business owners. Make sure that they know that this application will open on September 20th and be open until September 29th. The state legislature passed it and said it can only be open for 10 days. So that's why it's a small window. There should be some information. We're going to host a couple of information sessions, and we'll put that information in the follow-up email that folks can come to that starting next week. We're sharing a bunch of that. And then I have one other random thing, Anissa, which is that the Launch Minnesota is asking for board members. And so I know you have entrepreneurs and people that work with business startups or are interested in business startups. And so we're going to include this in your email afterwards as well. Launch Minnesota is our program that works with startups and entrepreneurs across the state, and they are expanding an advisory council, or a group of folks who live in Minnesota and do this work to help give them advice and help kind of shape that program. And they have a couple, it looks like 10 seats available. And this is the application process to do that. So I just saw that today, but thought I would pass along since you're doing a business focused call today. And I will stop sharing my screen and send it back to Mike.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Yeah, and Mike will tell us about the career force and what we can do in terms of people who are interested in being coached and connected with employers. Mike?
Thank you. And so I'm going to take you through a presentation that we've been doing in preparation for the expiration of these benefits. And so if you've seen me on Facebook Live before, that you've seen some of this information, but I've tried to tailor it to this audience here today. And so here I will share my screen and let's see here. Okay, and so bring the little, there we go. So this is how Career Force can help anyone who's looking for work. We are here for you. We help people find new jobs, develop new career paths, and all of these services are at no cost to you. The Career Force as a system is the system in Minnesota known as the workforce system that connects seekers with family-sustaining jobs and employers with the workers they need for their businesses to grow and thrive. And so what that really means is we're trying to work with both sides of the equation. We assist employers regularly with helping to connect with the seekers and to promote their job openings, to find ways to connect with the seekers, and we help the seekers with strategies to best promote themselves to the employers and making that connection between seekers and employers. We have 50 locations across the state. And here is a map of those locations. We divide Minnesota up into regions. And so there are at least 2 comprehensive or large centers in each region. In the metro area, there are 6. And in each of those regions, we deliver the services in a variety of different ways that are all very complex and confusing. But fortunately, you don't really have to know how to navigate this system because the Career Force system is here to help you. If you go to careerforcemn.com, you can click on find a location at the top of every page, and it will give you an opportunity to search based on zip code, city. If you've created an account, it'll just automatically show you your nearest Career Force location. And when you go to each of those location pages, you'll find information about how to connect with them, including their physical address. Not all Career Force locations are currently open to the public for walk-in traffic. So you'll also find the phone numbers and email addresses and other methods with which you can connect with them. And if you call us, the staff in the Career Force locations are more than happy to connect you with any and all services. One thing I'll call out on this screenshot of Career Force in Cottage Grove from earlier last month, there is a yellow safe measure notice at the top, and that's generally where you will find the latest information about whether or not that location is open for business. And at the time of this screenshot, they were not doing in-person support, but they were serving people remotely. That may or may not have evolved since then. You can check it out on careerforcemn.com. So there are several programs and services available to anybody who's working with Career Force. And as I mentioned, they're very complicated in the way that they operate. But that's the great news about Career Force is that we're here to help. We're here to connect you with all of the programs and services available to you, both in the Career Force system and outside of the Career Force system. I'm going to speak most about the Employment Service Program. I am the Employment Service Director, so I oversee that program directly. And the great thing about my program is that our main goal is to connect people to all the programs and services available to them. So we'll get into the Employment Service Program here in a little bit more after that. But before we do, talk about some of the other programs we can connect people with. And so we have a program for veteran services, and whether you're a veteran or qualifying current or former military member or family members, there are services available specifically for you. There are the dislocated worker and adult services programs that connect those who have lost a job with intensive services and sometimes even training to help get back to work. There are youth programs available for younger and older youth, and as young as 14, and some on the higher end, the lower end of the 20s, going into the 20s. And those programs have case management and very often facilitate opportunities for youth to work and gain experience necessary for future employment. There are the migrant and seasonal farm worker services for those who migrate to Minnesota or work seasonally in agricultural work. Those services are specific for those in that field of work. Our migrant labor reps will help with navigating the different services available to them and also helping to make sure that they're in the best employment situation for their families and lifestyles. There's the Vocational Rehabilitation Program, which is for those who may experience certain barriers to obtaining or maintaining employment. And with that program, if that program interests you, we can make referrals over to that program, which provides some great counseling and case management to help find and or maintain employment. Other programs that are available, we have things like the Adult Career Pathways programs, also known as Pathways to Prosperity. In most of those local workforce development areas that we showed, there are programs like this that offer training into specific careers that have demand today. And very often they are connected directly with employers who are looking to hire. There's also the adult basic education, which is available for those who need certain basic skills or training. Some people need the equivalent of a high school diploma, and the adult basic education program can assist with that, as well as digital literacy and other training opportunities. These programs have different eligibility basis, and you can learn more about all of them on careerforcemn.com or by contacting your local career force location. Generally, when we do an orientation with a new customer, we'll go over some of the broad strokes of these programs and make appropriate referrals where it would make the most meaningful connection for you, and which programs might be worth your time and which ones wouldn't be. The Employment Service Program, as I mentioned, is available to all job seekers. It's primarily focused on those eligible to work in the United States. Our purpose is to inform, educate, and connect career seekers and job seekers and career changers with employers through the innovative, effective, and customer-friendly services. And as I mentioned before, we help job seekers find work. We help employers find and retain qualified employees. When you work with the Employment Service Program, you'll receive guided job search assistance and career planning. As we mentioned, one of the first things we will do is we will go over all those services. So if you don't remember all those services, it's okay. Someone from Career Force will assist you in making sure that you're connected to the services that can make the biggest impact for you. We'll also connect you with MinnesotaWorks.net, a website which is in the process of being replaced before you go to visit it, because it does appear to be in need of replacement. We're working on that, but in the meantime, it is still the tool that we use when employers and seekers want to connect. So every employer that we work with in Career Force, we encourage them to post their jobs on MinnesotaWorks.net. We also encourage and teach them how to go and find our career seekers on MinnesotaWorks.net. Every job seeker we work with, we encourage to post their resume on MinnesotaWorks.net, and we give you tips and hints on how best to be noticed by employers searching for seekers on Minnesota Works. In addition to those, we also have job searches guidance and assistance with, especially around certain subjects like writing resumes, interviews. We have workshops on conducting a successful job search. We in the Employment Service Program, all we do is guide people through job search, help seekers find work, help employers find seekers. And therefore, all we do is learn about the newest strategies and resources to be successful in a job search today. So we're constantly staying up to date. Many of the people who work in the Employment Service Program, it's not only their job, it's their hobby. And they just look for the newest trends and ways that people are connecting, and they are there ready to share that information with you. We're not like the family member who has just went through a successful job search and did it once. We do it all day, every day. And in addition to the services available for Career Force, we'll also connect with other local and community-based programs that can help with a variety of things like transportation, childcare, food, and so on and so forth. So as I mentioned, and I'll just go over this real quickly because I know I want to make sure be aware of the time. When you work with us, we will take you through that first appropriate step. Sometimes people who are looking for a new job, what you need is a bridge job, something to get you through this current crisis mode. We're really great at helping out with that and finding the best bridge jobs that lend you to better career paths down the road. If you're looking for something you have a little bit more time and you're not in the urgent situation of needing to address a crisis, we're going to sit down and work with you and make sure that before you take that first step, it is in the right direction. Far too often, seekers just start out by writing a resume. If you don't know what direction you're headed in, your resume might not reflect that, and it might take you back a path you've already traveled and something that when you really are looking to go in a new direction. We'll work with you on developing that new direction and developing your career path and helping you to make career choices that put you in the best line for success in the future. Again, as I mentioned, we have no shortage of tips and techniques for overcoming job search barriers and addressing addressing barriers that prevent you from being able to work. And so on and so forth. We will relay all that information in working with us. And so let's talk a little bit about how you can connect with us. On careerforcemn.com/events, you'll be able to find opportunities to connect directly with people and staff in Career Force. If you enter your zip code, once you go to that website, you'll be able to find the nearest appointment or service closest to you. And there'll be appointments available. You can go in, register for an appointment on your own. If you're having any difficulties with that, because sometimes if you're using a phone, that may require you to register, and that might be a little bit challenging, we invite you to call us, and we'll help you with connecting directly with a job search appointment. We're currently doing dozens of job search appointments in locations all across the state, and so give us a call. We'll help connect you directly with those services. So as websites that we went over today, careerforcemn.com, not only can you find a location, you can also find virtual career fairs. You can find information about all the programs and services we talked about, as well as some tools and assessments to do this on your own so you can get started on your job search 24/7. We have minnesotaworks.net, a place to look for work, a place to post your resume. Again, you can use that website at any time. And one resource we haven't really touched on is youtube.com. If you search for Career Force MN, all one word, no spaces, you'll find some of our past workshops and events and job fairs and hiring events where employers who are probably still looking for candidates are sharing information about their open jobs and resources. So with that, thank you. We invite you to contact Career Force today, careerforcemn.com locations to find your nearest office, or just call our help desk, 651-259-7500 or 1-800-345-2537 if you need a toll-free option. And with that, thank you, and I will hand the presentation or the meeting back to Anissa.
Thank you so much, Mike. And also, I wanted to quickly mention that we do get, invitations for people that are interested in attending our career fair events. Mike, do you want to quickly cover that? People have asked, and I shared the link, but it's just to reiterate, like the times that are held. Is it once a month or weekly?
Yes. So our career fair events, they are now going back to weekly on Tuesday afternoons, and so you'll start to see those showing up here soon. And I apologize that I don't have that information right at the tip of my hands, but in that same location where those events are posted, we have all of our job fair events promoted there as well. But I will also follow up and get you those dates directly for your follow-up email as well.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, please, yeah, get the word out, and the career fair teams are standing by and ready to assist. And of course, a lot of employers had been reaching out to us and interested in connecting with immigrants and refugees, and reaching out to the talents in the community. So definitely, so many jobs available. Anybody that needs assistance, please reach out to the career force teams. Thank you so much to our presenters today, Maureen, Mike, Sean, Christina, Aaron, and the participants. I really appreciate the time and space that we have all come together. Sometimes I feel like if this was in person, it might have been impossible, but this is one of the things to take advantage of the virtual world, and due to technology available for we have to utilize the resources that we share with the communities and people that can pass on the information and resources shared here. We'll follow up with a blog and include all the links and information from the slides that were shared today. And with that, thank you so much, and feel free to email me if you have any more questions. But thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye.